I saw that when they like tutorializing Shine Spark, and I was like, wait a minute, is that a real name, or did they just borrow that from the speedrunning community? Because that's all you hear about in the speedrunning community is how to abuse Shine Spark in Super Metroid. I was like, wait a minute, what is that a real ability Samus has?
Yeah, I guess it's became canon. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I did
an
see
arm cannon.
Oh,
no, I did see that.
all right,
crate.
muting him now.
Perfect. Welcome to Good Games Podcast. My name is James.
I'm Justin.
And with
I'm
us
Matthew.
today, yes, with us today again, Matt Finneman. Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
Well, you said the magic words. You said Metroid.
There is no way. I know you are a diehard big Metroid fan, and I know that there is no way we could have done this episode without you.
Also, you did offer me a lot of money to come on.
That's true.
So
That's
I
true.
do appreciate it.
All those donations just
we're
gone.
gonna-
We gave it to Matt.
Keep that under the table. No, yeah. I'm very excited to talk about this game. This is one of my most anticipated games of the year, as I'm sure it was for you as well.
Yep. And they did the best Nintendo thing, which was announce it just a few months before it came out.
Didn't even have. Oh my god!
You didn't even have to like wait on it too long.
Can that just be a thing? Just don't tell me that it's a thing until like a couple months before, and then be like surprise, and I'll be like, oh yeah, and it comes out when?
Yeah.
I love that.
It came out on our birthday week.
I know that was a fantastic birthday weekend
because we both shared a birthday week.
Yeah. Yes, we do. We have very, very close birthdays. We are very
cool.
Very cool. Yeah, what'd you think about this game?
You want me to go first?
Oh yeah, get right into it.
Yeah.
I've been constantly sitting down and like thinking about it because I don't want recency bias to like be too prevalent. But I'm gonna straight up say it. Super Metroid's finally been supplanted. The Queen has regained her throne. Metroid Dread is the perfect amalgamation of everything I've loved about other major Metroid games. It's got the classic atmosphere and exploration of Super. It's got the higher focus on like plot and lore that's Fusion introduced. It's got the buttery smooth movement of Zero Mission, and it's got the cool new like mechanics that Mercury Steam brings to the table from Zero Mission, and it's so freaking good. And then it brings stuff to the table like they call it Dread for a reason. I don't do good with horror. And just the tense scenarios of the Emmys hunting you, when you see that door, know you have to go into their area, it literally would just like get to me. I hated it. I was like, can I somehow sequence break this game and skip it? But when I say hate, I mean in like a good way.
Yeah, of course.
That's exactly the vibe they wanted to go to. And it was so intense in the beginning that when you start getting the abilities to make them more manageable and less threatening, it just reinforces that Metroidvania ideal of progressively getting stronger and visibly seeing like the change in your skills, because by the time you get like screw attack and stuff, that last Emmy you're like whatever. But that those first of all, also side note, Blue Emmy can go die in a fire. I don't know how far you are.
That was the ice one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Blue Emmy can die in a fire. The worst.
So I'm really happy that
have you both beaten it?
I have not beaten it.
I've finished it. I 100%ed my first
because
playthrough.
there is some big old lore plot spoilers at the end that I don't want to talk about if you haven't yet.
Well, Justin's gonna have to plug his ears because we need to get into what happens at the end.
Oh, so cool.
I am so happy that you're really high on this game, specifically because I think this is going to make for a more interesting conversation, because I really, really liked this game, but it did not supplant Super Metroid for me. Like that, I had some issues with this. But before I get into the issues, I wanted to talk about all the things this game does amazingly. First of all, boss fights. Holy crap. The boss fights
are so cool.
The those were the most like I was really surprised at how difficult those are, because it like you can't that you either figure out the patterns for the boss fight or you die. Like
You
you have
adapt or die.
yes, you have to, get good. Like there's no
Yeah.
you can't really cheat. There's a couple of bosses you can cheese in, like Super Metroid, for example. You can't really cheese these bosses. You have to.
You sure? There are 2 that you can super cheese, and I love it. Tell me you've seen the Kraid video if you
Yes,
sequence break
yes,
bombs. Okay, that's
yes.
1.
That's
2,
fantastic.
you can shine spark one-shot the experiment boss, the one that's at the reactor.
Mm-hmm.
When it's shooting the pink stuff at you, and you have to speed boost past the gust of wind, you can shine spark and one-shot them.
That's amazing. I did see
I didn't do that. I'm not that good, but I have seen videos.
By the way, some of the Shine Spark stuff. Okay, when you're trying to 100% the game, you have to go back, and there's a bunch of like little Shine Spark challenges. Some of those are really, really hard.
They are, but they're so good at the same time, because this game is the first game to truly embrace Shine Spark as a core mechanic. Like they actually put it in the tutorial. They teach you how to do it.
I did see that Kraid video, and to anyone who doesn't know what that is, Nintendo has kind of embraced the speedrunning and like sequence breaking community in a way that is really, really cool. When you fight Kraid, who is a boss in Metroid Dread, the first time, you're not supposed to have the Morph Ball bombs. But if you sequence break and get bombs early, you can like go inside Kraid, lay bombs, and like kill him in one shot, which is super, super cool, because that kind of like the developers are aware that it is possible to sequence break the game.
Yeah.
That is super, super cool. I love that.
I love that. I've been watching, because first of all, you know a game is good when my first thought is I cannot wait for the next Games Done quick charity event.
Yeah.
So I can see this game be torn apart live. Like I saw you can sequence break bombs and grappling hook before Kraid.
Oh,
I
wow.
think that's cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Wild.
And another thing that this game does really, really well is like it feels like really good to control Samus. Like all of the movements are like really tight, and just like you can like we were talking about how hard some of the Shine Spark stuff is, like combining all of Samus's movements in a way that is like fluid and like graceful is like actually really tough to like make it look good. So yeah, no, I cannot wait to see this game sped run. Speed ran. I don't know. The other thing this game does really, really well, animations. There's like little polishing touches. Like the first time there is like a waist high wall that Samus will go up to, and there's like a wall on top. And there's like a custom animation where Samus rests her gun arm and puts her hand on and she like peers through. And I was like, whoa, like that's crazy that they like, there's like all sorts of little polishing touches like that where
like, did you ever notice that if you fire your beam off rapid fire and then stop, your gun like cools down and a little steam comes off of it?
That's fantastic.
Like those are those little touches that you don't really think about, but once you notice them, you really appreciate.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of small touches that I really appreciate, this game has the best background atmospheric like foreshadowing. The amount of stuff you can glean that's gonna happen to you if you pay attention to the background. Like in the very beginning, you can start seeing like animals and creatures being picked off by the invisible creature. You can watch it like hunt in the background, or like you can see some of the Chozo warriors like jumping and like following you in the background. Or I think one of my favorite is the classic Kraid like hint, which is the ceiling with the little teeth, and there's always a part that leads the Kraid that looks like a face with the mouth, and that was very subtly put into the corridor before his boss. They're just cool.
I didn't even notice that one.
Or how the experiment monster was dead and being experimented on in the background until it's revived by I don't know how spoiler we're getting.
Yeah. No, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh god, I'm gonna have to fight this thing
you're
again.
gonna have to fight this something. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. The storytelling in the background really strong. That was another thing this game did really well. Um, so I think we should get into what I didn't really enjoy about this game, and the
Yes,
primary
so
thing,
I can yell at you for it.
right? The primary the primary thing I did
No,
not
the
enjoy about
Prime
this
games
game,
are different. They're separate.
right? That's a different.
Yeah, sorry.
I thought we were all talking about Metroid Prime 3. That's what I played.
Corruption? Yeah.
No, the thing I did not super enjoy about this, and I'm sure like anyone listening who has played Dread, and maybe even you, Matt or Justin, are going to be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I I don't say this to be like, "Oh, I'm such a great gamer. Like I'm so great at these types of." I did not get lost in this game. Like it for me, it was always very obvious where the critical path was, and it was always like right in front of you. Like and like I never really had the joy of like exploring and then like finding something cool while you're exploring. I don't think that's something Dread does really well. I think Dread is like really linear. There's not a lot of like you could go this way or you could go this way. It's like nope, you just keep going forward. um and that was kind of a big bummer for me because that's one of my favorite things about that genre is just like exploring and like finding cool shit. And there is like hidden items and stuff, but there's never, you're never gonna like stumble onto something and be like, wow, this is a totally optional power up. Like, wow, I can't believe I found this. Like, no, at the end of Dread,
I'm
you
going to
will.
stop you right there because I had that exact moment where I accidentally stumbled early on to the pulse radar
Oh,
because
okay,
that
okay.
is not critical. And I
That's
found that and I was like, "Oh shit, this is awesome. I can't believe I stumbled upon this." And that's the only thing I can do in this entire area, so I guess I have to find my way back out now.
that's true, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to be like, "What? How could you never got lost? I got so lost in this game." Um, I don't know. I feel like I've played a lot of these games, and you can kind of tell that Metroid Dread is just always subtly suggesting that you go in a certain direction. Like, oh, maybe you should go over here. Like, there's this new teleporter that's going to, take you on. And like, usually when you find teleporters in these games, it's like, oh, I unlocked a shortcut back to a previous area or whatever. That's not how they really use the like teleportation in Dread. It's always you just keep going on the critical path, which is interesting because I think it's hard to design a game like that where you have a huge map but there's just one line through the map. I think it's really hard to design something like that. But I don't know. I just found that design not interesting. And to elaborate on a previous point, what I'm talking about when I'm like optional power ups, because like when you play Super Metroid, you can finish Super Metroid without. There's like a ton of optional shit that you don't need the wave beam. You don't need. There's like I can't remember what else.
Ball,
Yeah, there's I
the
think one of
reserve tanks.
well all the reserve tanks. Yeah, but I mean there are like power ups that Samus can get, like the wave beam, for example. Totally optional, totally missable. There's not really that in Dread. You're right. The radar thing is like technically optional because you don't really need it to beat the game. But there
Yeah, it's
wasn't.
the X-ray scope.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That was like my biggest problem with the game was just like, you just kind of just keep going forward. You don't really get a chance to explore. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know. The other thing. Hang on, I have to pull up my notes.
Oh man, he made notes.
Yes.
Nerd.
I'm a big nerd.
Well, while he's pulling up notes, let me
Thank
mention
you.
what I did not like.
Okay.
Because you guys mostly mentioned everything I did like. It felt like a good, genuine Metroid game.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I hated though, and it's just me being me because these kind of things peeve me, is the damn ship's voice.
Yeah.
They're like, hello, lady. Like it had that same like monotone computer low voice, and it's like, that would sound fine, but I don't know. There was something about that just like bothered me so much. Like I couldn't stand listening to it because half the time I was like, wait, what did he just say? I know there's stuff on the screen, but it's like Like I was like, if I wasn't reading this, I would have no idea what the fuck this thing was saying.
I
Um,
kind of dug that it was at least fully voice acted.
yeah, but
No,
like
that was
that
cool. That was cool.
to me though, it also like what bothered me a little bit was like it almost had like a personality to it. It would sometimes make little like jokes sometimes.
Mhm.
I'm like, why would you give something a personality but like a very like monotone computerized voice? Why not give it a little bit of realism in there? Like what? This
Yeah,
is
no, oh man, I can't.
futuristic a little
Oh,
bit.
oh yeah,
There
no,
are there
man, that's such a good.
That's my only piece.
That's
That was
such
my
a
only piece.
that's such a good point. Um, hmm, hmm,
there,
maybe you should beat the
there's
game.
there's story reasons for that actually.
Oh, okay.
There is a story reason for that one.
Yeah, sorry.
Um,
Like the second you started talking about that, I was like, oh man, that's because he hasn't beaten the game yet. He's
Okay,
gonna
good.
completely
I'm
flip on
glad
that
it gets
real
remedied.
quick.
Okay.
there is
I'm
a
glad.
little explanation for that kind of. The other thing I was going to mention, and before I don't want to just shit on this game. I'm so happy that we have a 2D Metroid. Like I'm very happy. I enjoyed this game a lot. I'm just nitpicking the little tiny things I didn't like. Along the audio wavelength, I thought the soundtrack was pretty. Eh.
You know, I will give you that. Like there's so many tunes in Super Metroid that are iconic, but Dread doesn't really have that.
Yeah.
Well,
Nothing stuck out for me.
the most striking soundtracks are the tracks they lifted from Super Metroid because they play like one of the Brinstar themes, and I was like, whoa, oh, this is from Super Metroid. Yeah, okay. Then
Yeah.
no wonder this sounds good. Okay.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What was your favorite new ability added to the game?
Ooh. That is a great question. What were the new abilities? Because I did not finish
So
Fusion.
Spider Magnet is kind of new, but it's kind of like Spider Ball.
Yeah.
But there was the Aeon ability, so Phantom Cloak and the Flash Shift, and then you had like Flash Shift is my
Flash
choice.
Shift, absolutely Flash Shift. That's something I feel like they just lifted that straight out of Hollow Knight because Hollow Knight has that little dash, the air dash. But no, that feels super good, and it's like very important for a lot of the boss fights.
Also, I really enjoyed the inclusion of the slide. That just felt good.
Yeah,
Especially just to maintain momentum because this is the largest Metroid game map by magnitude.
By a country mile, yeah.
But your movement is so smooth and precise and controls so well that if you're really good, you can clear like whole long distances in no time at all. And then if you counter really well, you can just like blaze through stuff. It is awesome. But so phase shift, but then there's also a cross bomb, which I thought was really neat, allowing for the vertical and horizontal morph ball dashes, which I thought was nice. I think those are the only new ones because stuff like ice missile is from Fusion. Radar is basically just X-ray. Power bomb. You know what? I'm surprised we never got high jump boots. That's the only classic power up that never showed up.
True.
Everything else, Varia, super missiles, gravity suit, the beams. When did they? Also, side note, when did they change Spazer to wide beam?
Oh, true. They did change the wording on that. By the way, somebody they changed the wording of Morph Ball. I thought it was always called Morph Ball. If you go back and play Super Metroid, it's called the Morphing Ball.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just we all just assumed it was Morph Ball. It's kind of like one of those Mandela effects.
Yeah.
But
also Morphing Ball is a really stupid name, so
yeah. What was I saying? Phase shift, some
the Spazer, something.
Yeah, space. So oh god, I lost it. Son of a gun. Oh, I did like that they even gave a nod to Other M with the diffusion beam.
Oh, is that another M thing? See, I didn't finish that game either.
Okay.
That's why you're here, by the way, is to make sure
you're filling in the gaps.
I recently found out that the biggest gripe against Other M's story is because of a translation error.
Oh, really?
Huh.
Yeah, everyone shits on the part where Adam tells Samus not to use her Varia suit, and it forces you to go through all these areas and get hurt by the damage, and it's because Samus said like is just blindly listening to her CO Adam, who is what the person that her computer is based off of.
Yeah.
But then it turns out that was apparently a translation error in the Japanese one. Adam's telling her to use it and berates her for not. But because the whole point she had to like shut down her suit, she wasn't sure it was ready to use. And that completely changes the whole dynamic because people were like, oh, Other M made like Samus a submissive to like her male boss instead of
Yeah.
like the badass she always is. But no, it turns out she's so badass she ignored her CO, was like, I'm gonna fucking run through this lava room. Anyway, that I'm digressing. Diffusion Beam is from Other M, and it was cool that even that game got a nod.
One final thing, one final nitpick I have
You
is,
son of a bitch.
I'm so sorry. The amount of save rooms is so just
No, I fucking love it. Look. we are hardcore. We are very good at games. But I love that this game respects people's time.
Yep.
The checkpoints and the save rooms, cool. Because with the Emmy rooms being one-shot deaths, unless you're very lucky, like I only escaped 3 times total in my entire game. And with the boss fights being very difficult, I really love the checkpoint system where it's like, boom, you're right back outside the door. Boom, you're right outside the boss. So I get it, but I applaud it because if you're not going to add an easy mode for people, at least make it less or more forgiving.
The boss fights being as hard as they are, the checkpoint right before the boss fight was fantastic. But I think we lost something with the amount, because there's a save room in this game. Every other room is a save room. You just trip over save rooms. And I think
your problem is because the other rooms double as save rooms as well.
Yes.
So it's not just a save room, it's the data download rooms or the map rooms. They all function
They
as
all
save rooms.
they're all save rooms. And the thing I think we lost is and I agree with you. It's super nice that it respects your time, and it's because it's like, okay, when you die and you lose a lot of progress, it's like, oh my god, this is so annoying. The thing that I think we lost, though, is we lost the tension that you get when you go into like a new area and you're way far away from what you're familiar with, and like the safety of like, oh, this is the zone I'm familiar with, and you encounter new enemies and they have, you know, new patterns that you're not familiar with, and you're like, oh, and I'm low on health, and I'm like, oh, this is so tense. Like I gotta find.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just think the trade-off is more people playing Metroid, which means that maybe we don't have to wait 19 years for another one.
That's true.
So
that's true. I
will carry that burden.
That's true. Yeah, if there was a mode, if hard mode was, hey, we just took 75% of the save rooms out of the game, I'd be like, oh, that sounds awesome. That is the kind of challenge I'm into, where you have to, you know, do a lot of exploring and manage your health, which you don't really have to do in this game because of how aggressively this game checkpoints and just saves all the time. When you die, you're just like, oh, whatever. I just go back 30 seconds, whatever.
Yeah, but the game really just also is like, hey, good thing you got that extra energy tank because you're gonna lose it in one hit.
Yeah.
Enemies do stupid damage in this game,
especially later on. Yeah, there's a lot of enemies that can do a crazy amount of damage.
Would you say you lost out on the dread of going way back?
I was gonna make the same thing. And again, I can see the pros and cons, but I think in their effort to make this franchise more accessible, because it's historically been one of like the hardcore favorite, but a critical sales like slump every time. There's never been like a blowout Metroid sales game.
Oh yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I hope this game gives us more Metroid. And I did really, really like this game, but because
then say one more thing you like about it, because so far this whole thing has been like, let me nitpick something else.
Oh yeah. No, okay, what did I have in my notes? I loved the boss fights, the animations, movement feels really, really good. Let's see. I don't know.
Yeah. There we go.
Those are the things that I thought were good.
I want to talk about, because I really like the story, because Metroid Fusion really was the first to truly like hit you with a bunch of story that was like really captivating. And then they doubled down with the retcons and Zero Mission and Samus Returns. And then this game brings it all together. Like the entire 2D Metroid saga gets closed off in this game. Like they have room to expand and move on, but the story as it exists is done. I don't know if you want to mute yourself because I'm going to discuss like
Oh, we're getting into
plot
spoiler.
stuff. Yeah, I mean, we're talking story.
I don't.
Hard
I
not
don't
to.
think Justin really cares.
I'm not gonna.
Okay,
It's fine.
because we are now at a point where the space pirates are dead. They died in Super Metroid. The Metroids
Yeah.
are dead.
By the way,
They died in Super Metroid.
shocked that Ridley didn't make an appearance in this game.
Yeah, because Ridley fucking died finally.
Finally.
And that's why
There's
yeah,
no Mecha Ridley, no Neo Ridley,
yeah,
no.
we already got
Yeah.
Alternate
he
universe
died in
Ridley.
he died in Fusion. His corpse was made to
He
make
dies
the,
in every game, and he always comes
I
back.
know, but he was like his corpse was possessed by the X parasite in
Yeah.
Fusion. So like he was dead. Like he came back as a parasite, but then you fucked that thing up too. So Ridley being gone was a huge shock. But also I kept waiting for the Metroid reveal. Like every game's always like, oh, the Metroids are gone, but then like psych, someone had a clone of something in a lab on the base, and
well, they kind of sort of did that at the end with Samus.
yes, because and that's the cool thing. Like the X story has come full circle. The Samus on Fusion stories come full circle. Her Metroid DNA has fused with her Chozo DNA, and then we found out the truth of the Chozos that there's two races. One, and she has DNA from both tribes. One tribe can control the Metroids, and the other tribe was the warrior tribe. And that's what gives her all of her badass powers. But the science tribe is the one that built the suit. And we find out like her fucking like mom and dad were the bad guys.
Yeah, that was another big reveal. And I'm so glad you're here to go over all this stuff, because when they got into Chozo, Metroid, DNA, X, Parasite, my eyes were just glazing over, and I was just like,
oh, I'm so excited because okay, so we found out from Zero Mission and Samus Returns about the Chozo. Like we always knew from even back in the Nintendo Power comics, Samus was orphaned by a space pirate raid and raised by Chozos, and they gave her some of their DNA and trained her and raised her up, and then she went on to take out the space pirates and blah blah blah. But this whole time we thought the Chozo race had been exterminated, and we found out that this planet had been the stronghold for the warrior race of Chozos this whole time, and their plan was always to take over the galaxy using the bioweapons of the Metroids. But by the time they went to go to the planet to bring them back, because they had been sealed off by the science tribe, the warrior tribe murdered them all, and they're like, finally, let's go get our Metroids. And they found out, oops, Samus already killed them all. And then when they went there, what do we know from Fusion? Oops, the X parasites are back, and the Chozo get overrun by, it's basically like an episode of Among Us. A couple of their warriors got swapped out by X parasites. They brought them back to their home planet and they got foobarred. And so the X are on this new planet, but the Metroids are gone. So when you accidentally release them from the temple, they just that's the coolest. I don't know. Have you gotten that far yet? Where you release
I'm fighting the like eye glaze that I'm just like, what? The Metroid lore? What?
I'm asking him. I don't know what how far he is.
No. But
I finished it. I finished the game.
Okay. So the X, you release the X, they take so everything from that point on is been taken over by the X parasites. The whole
that was an interesting because it literally after that point, literally every enemy you fight is an X parasite. Yeah. And I thought that's how they were gonna work Ridley back in. Like, it's X Ridley or whatever. I was waiting for it. And it never happened.
They already did that. Yeah, but I applaud them for that, because they could have done that.
Well,
they would have worked.
They got a little bit of fan service in with the Kraid boss fight, but
yes.
I thought we were.
And here's where it gets wild, and here's where I really loved the twists, is that when you find out that the Chozo that beat your ass at the beginning of the game, that's the donor of your warrior race DNA. And during that fight, when you like explode and then you wake up with a new suit, like there was that flash of light and she blacks out, that was her Metroid DNA activating, like fully awakening due to the extreme like circumstances. So he was like, oh shit, I actually have a chance to make good on my schemes. So he uses, that's why the Emmy robots are constantly trying to like take your DNA, because the Chozo bird wants your Metroid DNA, because you are literally the only living thing with Metroid DNA left in the galaxy. And you find out that the whole shebang, everything was designed to get you stronger and basically forge you in fire to make your Metroid DNA stronger. And by the end of the game, you can literally Metroid things to death. You touch them and you absorb them and you kill him. And then he reveals himself. He's like, "Sup, bitch? I've been Adam the whole time. I'm the computer talking to you." And he's like, "I've been doing everything to lead you on this path," which is even funnier because he's constant. If you go back and play it again, you realize he's constantly talking about how badass mock Ravenbeak is.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love the memes where it's like that Adam Driver on SNL where he's like, "Oh yeah, Kylo Ren is ripped. I saw him in the shower. Dude has an 8-pack." It's the same concept. He's just talking about himself the whole time.
I did love that the game felt that we had to justify narratively why, for the millionth time, Samus begins the game losing all of her powers
Yeah.
and all of her suits. Like, okay, we have to come up with a narrative reason that they have to regain all of their powers again.
You know what? It's a credit to that franchise that they keep coming up with plausible story-based reasons for that.
Yeah.
So, and then at the end, your Metroid becomes fully evolved and you burst out into a new badass suit that makes you look like fucking Doomslayer. And the coolest thing is you regain the hyper beam from Super Metroid that the baby Metroid bestowed upon you.
Yeah.
Like your body can handle it again because of the Metroid DNA. And you just tear through everything as you escape from the exploding planet. Because of course,
This was really a love letter to Super Metroid, almost to
it's a cap off of the whole plot line.
No.
Awesome.
But just as someone, because I skipped Fusion mostly, I played like the beginning. Of Fusion.
That would explain why the story didn't grip you as much, because Fusion was the first game that really added all these story elements and then ended on such a cliffhanger where it's like you escape, but what happened to the Metroid DNA? Like, what's up with your new suit? What's going on with the X?
I mean, maybe that would explain why but to be perfectly honest, that's not really why I play these. I like these games because of the exploration, because of, you know, the boss fights, the combat, whatever.
Well, because Metroid's never really been about plot, and that's why the fact that each game like progressively kind of like ratcheted up just a little bit, so that by the time you hit this one, you're like, "Oh, I actually care."
I'm super happy that it exists, but like just like especially the end sequence was almost beat for beat just the same thing as Super Metroid, and I was like, do I have the super beam? Oh, yep, there it is, and here's the escape the planet sequence. Like, okay, yeah, I've done this before.
This might be the best escape the planet sequence, though.
It was good. It was good. No, I just mean it was.
But I mean,
as someone who had skipped Fusion, I was like, wow, this game really loves Super Metroid.
But at the same time, I kind of love that they did that because it's been 19 years since Fusion, but also
way too long.
27 years since Super.
Yeah.
So like, sure, put another exploding planet beam sequence in the game. Like, you're allowed.
Yeah.
Sorry, I do feel bad. Like I hate. I know you say you don't care, but I do. I'm sorry I had to spoil.
I'm so happy that there is lore and story and that people care about. I'm just not one of those people. That's not why I'm into the game. That's not why I like Metroid.
I knew a bit of the Fusion lore myself, so I kind of like went into it going like understanding why she was the way she was. I was like, all right, so this is like kind of like sequel-ish from, you know, like the Fusion story, so I kind of got it, but I don't know the whole thing, so it kind of just doesn't. I just play it for the game mostly.
Same. I'm glad that it
totally
exists.
Fair. Yeah, like they could have not had any of the plot and I still would have loved it, but it just elevated it for me.
Could have just been a game of here's Samus killing again. Woohoo.
Yep. I do yourself a favor though and go look up the Metroid suit just to see how friggin' badass she looks.
You're talking to Justin?
Yes, it might be the coolest. Like, it makes me mad now that Smash Bros is over because I want the Dread suit and the Metroid suit to be like optional choices, and also, how cool would Ravenbeak be as a fucking Smash player? Like, get another Metroid challenger, but well, alas, maybe with Super Smash Bros. Super Duper Ultimate.
Oh my, I don't know where the Smash series goes from here.
Honestly, I think it's done.
Yeah, maybe.
This was like,
even if they want to do another one, Sakurai wouldn't do it, and there's no way the rights to all those characters transfer over again. Like,
I want to know where Metroid goes. I mean, obviously, where Metroid goes.
Oh,
from
I
here
have
is
ideas.
Metroid Prime 4, but I mean for the 2D series, because they've said several times this is the end of the 5-game series for. So does that mean we're not getting any
But
more? Or
the producer said he has plans for more 2D games. So
okay, great.
and I have
so
plans for where I have plans. I have ideas of where they could go.
So are we rebooting the series? Are we going to have a new protagonist? What are your thoughts?
So.
What are your thoughts?
Honestly, they could Last of Us with the next one.
Samus
because my idea is Samus is now a Metroid. Everyone, like even Ravenbeak said, you're now the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. So what happens if the bounty hunter becomes the bounty hunted, and the next game is her being hunted down, like kind of Metroid Prime Corruption style, but actively they're hunting you. So you get that same like Emmy style stuff where you're kind of feeling overpowered and hunted down. I don't know. Could be cool. They could even do multiple planets this time. I don't know. That's just my like where my mind goes plot wise. Like immediately is like, well, she's now the only Metroid, and that's like the one thing everyone in the galaxy wants or wants to destroy.
Didn't Prime 2 or Prime 3 have multiple planets? I'm trying to remember.
Prime 3 did.
Prime 3 did.
Yeah, Prime 2 was dimensional.
Yeah, that's right. That's dimension. Right. Oh yeah, God, Jesus.
And since the Prime games all take place between Metroid 1 and 2, like whatever 4 does, it won't be.
Yeah.
It won't change anything from Dread.
Yeah.
So that's my gut reaction, thought of or prediction of where the plot will go is that now that she is a Metroid, and I think it's funny now. So when people kind of like how when they call Zelda Link.
Yeah,
Metroid. Or when they call Link Zelda. Now, when they say, "Why can't Metroid crawl?" they're technically correct.
Yeah. I'm sitting here trying to think how like overpowered Samus now. How they're going to explain on the next game. How she's going to lose her powers.
They did already. They literally could just. So at the end, the Quiet Robe, the Chozo that was from the Science Tribe, was killed and taken over by an X-Parasite, and the X-Parasite sacrifices itself to be absorbed, and it suppresses the Metroid DNA inside you, so you lose the Metroid suit and the hyper beam and stuff, and reverts you back to your standard Metroid Dread suit. And who's to say they can't say like, oh, and when that happened, it rebooted everything,
and you lost all your powers again.
Yeah, so I mean, it's already built in. All they have to do is be like, and that actually triggered like a cascading overflow of your suit, and it like, oh, everything's lost.
A cascade loop.
Exactly. See, you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're doing this a little bit out of order. I can fix this in editing. Quick plug for this podcast. Our email address is goodgamescast@gmail.com. Send us your questions. We have Twitter. We have a Instagram. I don't know. That's not a thing we have. We have a Discord though. We do have a Discord. Hop in our Discord. The links are in the description. We're very professional here, Matt. In case.
Oh yeah, we have an Instagram. We put half naked pictures of James up on Instagram. He models.
Oh, is that? Yeah. Well, check out our Instagram if you're interested.
So Metroid games. Metroidvania games.
Yeah. Let's.
Are we not counting actual Metroid games in this? Like, are we just picking 5 from the genre?
Metroidvania.
It can have Castlevania. It can have Metroid.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, hardcore fans of this podcast, of which maybe that doesn't even exist. Maybe I'm just inventing a thing that. But anyway,
there's dozens of have them.
All 2 of them. Yes. Hi, Mom. No.
A baker's dozen.
we have actually already done this Metroidvania top 5 Metroidvanias before. It was on a much earlier episode with just myself, Leo, and John. And don't listen to that episode. It's not good. It's not a good episode. We made a top 5 list of the best Metroidvanias without any Metroid games or any Castlevania games. I don't know how we did it, but we did.
It's super possible.
I mean, it is possible, but well, let's get into it. Let's see what happens. Maybe the same thing happens again. One game I know you and I will both have on this list. But, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
right
I
at
have
the top,
Hollow- yeah,
right
Hollow
at the
Knight,
top.
yep.
Hollow Knight
Yeah.
is I think the king of the genre that's not either Castlevania or Metroid.
I was really worried when they announced this game because I was like, hey, Nintendo cannot phone in another like Other M or so. Like, Metroid is no longer the king of the genre anymore. Like, they have to stay relevant in a world where Hollow Knight exists.
And they did.
Yeah, well, they did. Yes. I did actually really like this game.
But I think, I don't think anyone's gonna argue the inclusion of Hollow Knight into a top 5 genre list.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Hollow Knight's definitely on there.
I think my other choice, I think, is another gimme that I think has to be included, and it could be either one, but I think an Ori game has
Yep.
to be on
Yep,
the list.
I had Ori. Yep.
I would put
yeah.
Will of the Wisps over Blind Forest, but
I haven't played Will of the Wisps yet. I'm
that
sorry.
sounds like a you problem.
It is a me problem. I
It's
need
on
to
the
play
Switch
that game.
too,
I know.
and the PC, like all of
All
the
right.
things you play on.
I'm adding that to my list of things to do. I need to play Will of the Wisps because I really liked Ori and the Blind Forest. So yeah, okay, that's fine. Will of the Wisps, absolutely. Did you play Bloodstained, Matt?
I did.
What'd you think of it?
I liked it. I don't think it replaces any of the actual Castlevania games in my mind.
Wow.
But I mean, I still like Dawn of Sorrow better.
Oh, really? See, my favorite was always Symphony of the Night.
Well, that Dawn of Sorrow it's replaced Symphony of the Night for me just because I loved how it took everything that made Symphony of the Night great, but added like a Pokemon aspect because I wanted to collect all the souls. But Bloodstained is probably one of the best spiritual reimaginings of a major franchise I think that the Kickstarter era has ever produced.
Absolutely. Yep.
Certainly better than Mighty Number 9.
Yeah, no, I really loved Bloodstained, and I think I loved it more than any of the Castlevania games. So that would be one for me. What else? Okay, all right. Are there any Metroid games that need to be on this list? So I know
Yes.
you would put
I'd be
Dread
happy
above.
with. I would be happy with either Super or Dread, and I know both of you are going to prefer Super, so I'll let it slide. It's
Yeah,
fine. Super.
I was gonna say Super. Yeah.
Yeah, Super Metroid. I actually went back after I finished Dread and replayed half of Super Metroid just to like make sure I wasn't like.
Crazy.
I was like, no, Super Metroid's still really good.
I mean, it's that era of the Super Nintendo games. They've all still really held up. Like all of the classics from that era, whether it be Final Fantasy VI, Earthbound, Chrono Trigger, Super Metroid, Mario.
Super
Mario
Nintendo was just
RPG.
a good era.
Oh god,
It really
yeah.
was.
So many
Like
good games.
there's a lot of N64
Even games
that
you never
don't-
heard of were really good games.
There's a lot of N64 games that don't hold. There's a lot of Super Nintendo games that are still very playable. By the way, quick side note: are you excited for the Pixel remaster of Final Fantasy VI?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be more
okay.
excited when they announce the console versions with fixed fonts.
Yeah, they sort of fixed the fonts on the PC version, but
I don't want to have to mod it.
yeah. Well,
okay,
that's gonna
I
be
have
tough to
another-
mod. Oh yeah. Anyway, back to the task
one
at
is
hand.
Axiom Verge.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. I played like that first half of Axiom Verge. It wasn't clicking with me.
See, I think Axiom Verge is a love letter to the original Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
You
You
might jive more with Axiom Verge 2 that just came out because that is the Super Metroid era that it's homaging.
Okay.
Can I guess one that's on James's list? The Messenger.
That might also be on Matt's list. It's not on my list.
I feel like it's more of a pseudo Metroidvania game.
Yeah,
there are aspects of it, but I think Batman Arkham Asylum is a better Metroidvania game or a better example of the genre than The Messenger ended up being.
I love The Messenger. The
100%.
weakest parts of The Messenger are the parts that are the Metroidvania parts. The first half of that game I found to be much more enjoyable. Which
I think The Messenger was a big surprise that it was even in
consideration
of the genre, but
because halfway through the game it's like surprise, now we're shifting genres.
Yeah. So I actually that wasn't a joke. I think Batman Arkham Asylum is one.
No,
of the best
I know a lot of
Metroidvanias.
people have been citing that as one of the better. I need to replay that game. I haven't
There's
touched
not
that
a,
game.
I mean, I was thinking between that or City, but Arkham feels more tightly focused as a Metroidvania because it's only one area. So
Yep.
there's not any of the open world aspects.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you really get that vibe of just a new path has opened.
Mm-hmm.
Have any of you played Shadow Complex?
Mm-mm.
No.
Fix that. Shit's on PC. It's now on Switch too. That was the best example of a Metroidvania indie game. It was a 360 game. It was a 360 indie game made by Epic. Shadow Complex is one of the best examples of the genre that before it became like the indie darling genre go to.
Yeah.
Like it preceded all of them, but Shadow Complex definitely is worth looking into. It is dope AF.
Do we want to have any representation from Castlevania, or because I'm fine with just Bloodstained, which
I think Bloodstained is the Castlevania representation.
Okay.
If Iga made it, it counts.
Okay. So we got 6 games that we've mentioned so far, and I might be missing something. So we got Ori and the Blind Forest, Bloodstained, Super Metroid, Hollow Knight, Axiom Verge, Arkham Asylum, and Shadow Complex.
I'm fine dropping Shadow Complex just because neither of you have played it, so it's kind of hard to argue that unless you just take me at blind faith. But I do think both of you, if you are looking for a new entry in the genre and you want to try it, Shadow Complex is dirt cheap now. You can even get it on mobile, I think. So
I this doesn't necessarily need to be in the top 5, but have you played Guacamelee? Because that needs to be an
love Guacamelee. If you're doing a top 10, Guacamelee belongs for its parodies alone.
I just love the just goofy sense of humor that game has. Yeah,
I just love the art style. I love that.
The art style and the controls are so tight, especially on the really difficult, like optional stuff. When you're like having to swap between the dimensions real quick, and good things, good times.
Yeah. All right, so we need to call one game from this list of 6: Ori, Bloodstained, Super Metroid, Hollow Knight, Axiom Verge, and Arkham Asylum.
Well, I'm the only one pushing for Axiom Verge.
Yeah, that's. I think that's the one. I don't know. What do you? Have you played that game, Justin?
No, I've seen people play it, but I have not played it myself.
I don't know why that game just didn't click with me. Maybe, maybe you're right. Maybe it was just.
You hate good stuff.
I do hate good things. Famously, hate good things.
Yes.
Okay, so let's rank these then. Number 5 is Arkham Asylum, Bloodstained. Number 5.
I say Bloodstained.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'd say Bloodstained.
Number 4, Arkham Asylum or Ori.
Yeah.
Or
Arkham Asylum.
Arkham.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Ori in the Blind Forest or Super Metroid. Okay, and then Super Metroid, then Hollow Knight.
Will of the Wisp, bitch.
Yeah, I'd say Super and Hollow.
Okay.
Yeah, Super then Hollow.
Yeah, Hollow Knight is still the best example of the genre.
That game's so good. That game's so good.
I'm convinced that they keep citing COVID development issues as the reason, but honestly, I think Silksong has too much hype to live up to, and I'm worried. Fans are notoriously quick to turn on a franchise if the sequel isn't up to their perceived standards.
That's what I was worried about with Dread, because I was like, hey, we've been waiting for this for 20 years. Like, there's no way it's going to. I mean, and it did. It's a really good game. Don't let all my nitpicking. It did not hurt
Dread's chances that the most recent game released technically was Other M.
Other M, yeah. That's why I was like, you can't give us another Other M. Like, please don't let this. Like, I'm glad that this game was good. It is very good. There are things to nitpick, at least for me there were, but this game was very, very good. Metroid Dread. All right, there you go. That's your list. Number 5 was Bloodstained. 4, Arkham Asylum. 3, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Number 2 was Super Metroid. And number 1 is Hollow Knight. That game is really, really damn good. Okay. Do you guys have anything to endorse? I can go first. I am going to endorse yet again. I know we have endorsed this game, I think, no less than 2 or 3 times already on this podcast. I'm going to endorse it again. It's Gloomhaven. I endorsed this. Excuse me. Getting choked up about it. I endorsed this game several weeks ago, the board game. I endorse Jaws of the Lion is a really good place to start for the tabletop game. The full version, it's left early access. The full version of the digital adaptation just came out today. Yesterday. Just came out yesterday at time of recording, which would be October 20th. And it's got the full campaign from the original Gloomhaven. It's if you like Gloomhaven, check out the digital adaptation. It's really solid. And that's my endorsement.
So I'm gonna endorse something that you endorsed a long time ago there, James.
Hey, we're just repeating endorsements.
Oh
now.
yeah, no.
We've ran out of new ideas and we're just recycling the old ones.
I finally gave in with like Halloween decorations because I put up so many Halloween decorations. I'm nuts with it. I gave in to getting a smart switch. Oh my god, that is so nice to have. Yeah. It's just plugged in outside. It synced it to the Wi-Fi, and I just run a schedule on it. I can turn it on whenever I want. I can just tell Google to turn it off. Oh my god, it's amazing.
Yeah, welcome to the smart house.
Yeah,
I might have taken it a few steps too far because all my lights, the fans, the thermostat. I've taken it, the refrigerator, the stove, the TV. It's out of control. But no, just lights. Having lights and being able to like turn them on and off, motion sense, schedule. It's so convenient.
Yeah, because I kept buying the little timer ones that you kind of click down whatever times you want it on, and they kept breaking. They just stopped moving, or they'd get to the point where it's supposed to turn on and stop for whatever reason. They're supposed to be outdoor. I don't know if they were just rusting or what, but I said screw it. I'm getting a smart switch so I can just do it. Just plug it in. And you know what? I might even get a second one so I can have multiple locations, so I can have more lights and more shit in my yard.
We do that for the Christmas tree too, and it's also nice because like you'll like go out to eat or you'll leave the house or whatever, and you're like, oh god, did I turn the Christmas tree lights off? And you can just be like, boop, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Matt? Do you have anything to endorse?
I do. It's a game I think you'd really like, based on your stuff. Have you heard of Wilder Myth yet?
No.
It's a new indie game that came out. It's a procedurally generated tabletop RPG.
Ooh.
Where you create characters and the game will give you procedurally generated consequences for your choices that push the story forward, and it's you and your friends doing a co-op digital D&D game basically.
That's fantastic. Is this like what's that thing?
Steam.
What's that thing that oh god, what's that thing that Vinny played a lot, Justin? The procedurally generated like text adventure adventure
AI Dungeon?
AI Dungeon. Is this like AI Dungeon?
Never played it, so I can't tell you.
Okay.
It's really good.
I'm taking a glance at it, and I kind of like the art of it.
The art style is very like
it's like storybook drawn almost.
Yes.
There's another endorsement. AI Dungeon is very it's a good way to waste 20 minutes of your time. It's it gives you like a story prompt. It'll ask you like, okay, you know, you're gonna go on an adventure. It'll ask you for a character's name, like, what are you trying to accomplish? Like, oh, I'm trying to, be the greatest king in the kingdom, or I'm trying to sneak in to, save the princess, whatever. You can like set up your own thing, but it's all AI generated. And sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's a disaster, because it's just an AI that's just feeding you lines of like based on what you type in, because every prompt ends in like, what would you do, or what do you want to do, and you type out a thing and the AI tries to parse that and then give you a response based on what you typed.
Okay.
Sometimes amazing, sometimes disastrous, sometimes both. AI Dungeon. Yeah.
Nice.
I think the last one I did, because you can create like a custom premise, and I was like, well, I'm clearly Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah, I was like, you probably did a Star Trek one, didn't you?
I'm on the Enterprise, and I'm trying to boldly go where no, and it was like the AI knew, because it was like Lieutenant Commander Worf comes up to you and asks you if there's any problems in the engine room, and I was like, whoa, it knows that like Star Trek is a thing.
That's funny.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Cool. All right. Metroid Dread is good. Play it.
Yes.
Go buy it. Go play it. We need
if you're
to
a
have
super
more
fan,
Metroid.
this is a good
Yes. Oh yeah.
dedication to that.
yes, it is. I thought this game was very much a love letter to Super Metroid in particular.
Yes.
And yeah, please go buy this game because nobody wants to wait another 20 years for another 2D Metroid game. Yeah, that's it. So for the Good Games podcast, I'm James.
I'm Justin.
And I'm Matt.
Thank you again to Matt for joining us on this episode. We'll see you next time. Our next episode is probably going to be Mario Party Superstars, one of my other most anticipated games of the year. Hey, this is James from 15 minutes from now, and that's a total lie. Our next episode is actually probably going to be Resident Evil 8, because we're going to release it around Halloween and tie it in with, all the spooky stuff. So we got to do a spooky game. So Resident Evil 8 will be our next episode. All right, back to James from 15 minutes ago. I'm a big Mario Party fan, Matt. I don't know if we've played Mario Party together, right?
Yeah, and I beat you.
You did?
Like the chump you are.
How dare you? Well, now you have to beat me in Mario Party Superstars, which is all boards from the N64 era, which is the stuff I grew up on.
I grew up on and played nonstop. Yeah.
Well, now we have. All right, it's going down.
I got a free glove. I got a free glove from Nintendo after I burned a hole in my palm playing Mario Party 1.
Oh God, the rafting game where you have to. Yeah.
Yep.
If you didn't have giant blisters on the palm of your hands, then you never.
I
played
didn't
Mario
have
Party
giant
1.
blisters because I literally tore a hole in my palm spinning so fast. The N64 nub ripped my skin off.
All that raw plastic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just rubbing on your hand. I'm sure that was great.
All right. Thanks. Goodbye. Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
See you next time. Goodbye.
And you were pretty solid, James. You only had like 1 or 2 hiccups. It wasn't that bad.
But
you never cut out. You just had like one of those it sped up a little bit.
Yep. I've been moving around like I said, I moved a couple of the nodes, placed them up a little higher, and then I'm going to replace. Anyway, working on my Wi-Fi network, trying to get Wi-Fi in this game room is a real challenge.
Good news. Someone was watching us on Twitch because they chatted.
Oh, nice.
Neat.
Good.
Man, they said Dread is pretty much a follow-up to Fusion in both tone and design philosophy. That's what they said. So it was an actual genuine person contributing, not some bot trying to sell us viewers.
Yeah.
It just happened before.